Most people think fear is loud. They expect it to kick down the door and announce itself with screaming and violence. They never imagine fear can be quiet, that it can sit across from you in silence, smiling while everything you believe rots away. That's why I picked them. Not because they were rich, not because their house was a fortress, but because they believed money could insulate them from reality. 6 months. That's how long I watched them. That's how long I prepared to take everything from them without laying a hand on them. It started with a contractor. He was drinking too much at a marina bar, bragging that he was installing the most advanced residential security system on the coast. Steel walls, ballistic glass, biometric locks, triple redundant power. I sat in the corner, listening. He never noticed me. No one ever does if you sit still enough. The next week, I paid a janitor at the architecture firm to hand me the blueprints. He didn't care why I wanted them. He didn't even look me in the eye. People always think they're not responsible if they don't ask questions. Then I moved into the empty house across the street. I lived there for months. Long nights with my camera and notebook, cataloging every routine. I learned when they left, when they returned, when they turned out their lights. I learned how long it took her to punch in the code when she was half asleep. I learned exactly how their panic room rehearsals looked, like a performance they thought made them invincible. They never closed their curtains. They wanted the world to see their perfect life. By the 3rd month, I had cameras inside. One in the hallway vent, another above the panic room door. I watched them eat, argue, laugh. I watched them believe nothing could touch them. They were wrong. 3 weeks before the breach, I attended a charity gala he sponsored. I followed him to the bar and made sure he finished a drink I'd handled. He never noticed me pick up the glass after, never saw me wrap it and slip it into my case. That thumbprint was all I needed to make the replica. On the night I came, the sky was clear. No excuses for false alarms, no power outages, no variables. At 3:17 a.m., I tripped the perimeter sensor on purpose. I watched them jerk awake, wild-eyed and trembling. She started sobbing before her feet even hit the floor. They ran down the hall like prey. They didn't know I was already inside. Didn't know I'd been there for over an hour, waiting in the dark, listening to them sleep. When the vault door slammed shut, I rested my palm against the steel. I imagined them pressing their bodies into the far corner, whispering reassurances that wouldn't hold up for long. The first barrier was the keypad, an installer code still active in the firmware. 60 seconds to kill the interior alarms. Next was the biometric reader. I pressed the gelatin print against the sensor. A soft beep. Green light. The last line of defense was the rotary lock. 4 tumblers, no electronics. They called it failsafe. I called it a toy. I closed my eyes and listened. Each click of the tumblers sounded like a countdown. Left. Right. Left. Right. When the final bolt retracted, the sound was delicate, almost apologetic. I opened the door just wide enough to slip inside. I didn't rush. I wanted them to feel every second stretch. They were in the corner, holding each other like children. She was shaking her head over and over, mouthing no as if the word had any power left. I didn't speak. I didn't threaten them. I sat down against the far wall and folded my hands. That's the part they never understand. I don't want their things. I don't need money. My payment is simpler. I want them to remember me every time they close their eyes. I want them to know the lock was never real. Minutes crawled by. The husband started to sob. She pressed her face into his shoulder, as if not seeing me might erase me. It doesn't. I stayed there long enough that they began to wonder if I would ever leave. Long enough for the adrenaline to drain and be replaced by something worse. Certainty. At 3:49 a.m., I stood up. Neither of them moved. Neither of them spoke. They just watched me with hollow eyes. I left the vault door ajar, wide enough that the memory would never fully close. I didn't take anything when I left. I didn't have to. I already owned the only thing worth stealing. Their belief that they were safe. That was always the real currency, and it always spends well.